Okay, this is part two. So essentially, they give us more backstory about how the numbers were wrong and the handwriting is incorrect, and we need to fix it. To figure out how to fix it, essentially, what we need to do is count the occurrences. Well, let me just read this. It says we need to figure out how often each number from the left list appears in the right list. Calculate a total similarity score by adding up each number in the left list after multiplying it by the number of times that it appears in the right list. Here's the same example list again. The first number in the left list is 3. It appears in the right list 3 times. So 3 times 3 is 9. The second number in the list is 4. It appears in the right list once. So 4 times 1 is 4. And then you add 9 plus 4. And then you keep adding those numbers up until you get the similarity score. So essentially, what I think we're going to do to solve this is we need to build an occurrence counter for the second list. So we're going to count the number of occurrences of each element in the list. And once we do that, iterate through the first list and find the score. And find the score is summing up what we need to do here. Multiply it by the number of times the number appears in the right list. So just multiply each element by its occurrence in the second list by using this occurrence counter. Okay. So to build an occurrence counter, we're essentially going to start with a dictionary, iterate through the list, check the dictionary to see if the element already exists. If it does, increment the element's value by 1. If it does not, add a new element or add a new entry in that dictionary, and then continue on. And at the end, we'll have the number of occurrences that it appears in that list. So let's do that. So we'll call this occurrences, and we'll give it a dictionary. And we'll say for element in, let's say array 1. For element in array 1, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Print element. Okay, so yeah, we got the element. So yes, what I want to do is I think I want to use dictionary dot get and then give it a default value. So we're going to say occurrences at the value of the element. So this is going to say, so say the first element is 3. It's going to look for a 3 in this element. We're going to set that value equal to occurrences dot get return a value for its key. Its key should be element, and if not, it's gotcha. Okay. So occurrences is going to be an empty object, right? And we're going to iterate through the elements of array 1, which actually we need to iterate for the elements of array 2, because in the problem set, in the instructions, it says we need to count these occurrences in this right list. So we're going to take this dictionary and we're going to look for the element. Well, we're going to set the element's value equal to the dictionary's get the element. Okay, so if this dictionary on some iteration was 3 and its value was 1, then it will pull the value of 1 here. And then because plus 1, we're going to increment it. So this will change to 2. If it comes across a value that's not in occurrences yet, it's going to get by default doesn't bug out. It just returns basically nothing. Well, it doesn't return nothing. It returns your second argument. So this is a default value. So in this case, if get cannot find the element in the dictionary, it will just return 0. And so we just need to set this element, or I'm sorry, this key to 0 plus 1 because it's the first occurrence. So it will say it's not there. I'm going to return for the element of 3, I'm going to return 0. plus 1, which is effectively 1. And then the next time it'll count. It'll increment that, okay? So then we can just make sure that's working correctly. And we got it, yeah. So 4 appears once, 3 appears 3 times, 5 appears 1, 9 appears once. And that's exactly correct. 4 once, 3 3 times, 5 once, 9 once. So that's how you build an occurrence counter. Okay. And then what we want to do now is find what they call the similarity score. So we're just going to use that name. We're going to call it similarity is equal to 0. And we're going to say for element, we'll shorten it to E in array 1. We will take the element and we'll multiply it by its number of occurrences in the second list, right? And we're going to take similarity and increment it by that value. So this should log, or not log, log is JavaScript, similarity. Unsupported operand types, right? Because these are still strings. We need to typecast. Huh. Plus or minus, similarity is 0. Oh yeah, because this is a string. Element is going to be a string. So we need to do int, typecast that into there. Right. Okay, and so then now the next issue, it says there's a key error, right? So what it's finding is a unique value in the first list that's not in the second list. So it's looking at 2. It says it's looking at 2 here, and it cannot find 2 in the second list. So we're just going to use the same solution here. So instead of directly looking at the value for E, we're going to say get E, since we can define a default value, and we're just going to return 0, right? Because if the value is not in the dictionary and we return 0, it's just going to take E times 0, and anything times 0 is 0. So we don't increment similarity in any way. And so in this case, we get 31, which is the answer here. Sweet. Okay, so let's now do our input. This is our input. Okay. And I'm just going to copy the code from the previous one that handles the splicing of these. So this splices it correctly. There we go. And boom. It says that this is our similarity score. So let's see if that is correct. Boom. That's right. Let's go.